Okay, so good morning. So today we're going to continue talking about externalities. We're talking about the Coase theorem, but we're also going to form the groups that will be kind of key for both doing activities today and some other activities to go through the semester. So the first thing I would say is, if there are people you want to be in a group with, you should sort of be sitting close to them right now because we're just going to form groups based on where people are sitting pretty much at the moment. So I think the target is probably about 7 groups, let's say. And so the course enrollment is like 60. And whether or not we'll actually end up with that many, it's hard to say. It depends on whether or not, depends how many people drop the course. But I would assume we'll probably at least have 50 something. So I think we're probably looking at like about 8 people per group. Now, I don't know exactly. So I did count earlier, and there were like 30. I'm guessing there's probably like somewhere in the 40s right now in terms of the number of people in the room. So there will be some people who aren't here, and they're going to get assigned to a group. I guess I don't have strong preferences over where they get assigned. So we'll do like a maximum of 8 people in a group, and then the groups that end up being relatively small, we'll get assigned people who aren't here right now. I think I'm just going to go through and start assigning people then who are like close to each other. I mean, the alternative is I can allow you to freeform the groups. Do people have a preference? So the reason why I'm a little bit reluctant to have the freeform groups is, there might be some people who are just kind of like end up on islands where like 2 groups form around you and they reach the maximum, and then it's like just you. So that's the downside to doing to freeforming the groups. But obviously you'll end up in a group. We'll reassign you. Just have to like move you around a little bit. So who does not want to freeform groups? Raise your hand. Okay, who does not want to have me go through and assign groups based on approximately where you're sitting? At least 2 people. Okay, so you apparently are the entire voting block, of course. So in that case, freeform into groups of no more than 8 based on people who are relatively close to you. I mean, also, if you have a group of friends for some reason are sitting all the way across the room, maybe they're not your friends, but in that case, you can feel free to go over there too. That's fine. So I'll give you like a couple minutes to form groups. If you don't end up in a group, don't worry about it. We'll make something happen. And for each group, somebody take out a piece of paper and start writing down the names of the people on your group. That's fine. We'll get additional people to fill you out at some point. You have 9. Let's see. Let me see how things like look in equilibrium. Do you have a question back there? Is there a question? You can have less than 8. Excuse me. Can you have 10? No. So we're getting multiple requests for it. So I'm going to break up some of the groups that are greater than 8. Okay. So I think we're probably in an equilibrium at the moment. So this is, I think this is like group 1. There's 6 of you right now. Okay. You have the sheet. Great. So 6 is a good size because we'll add a couple more. And then I'll get you guys in a second. So you guys are like 2. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, who's in your group? 6 of you. Okay. That's a good size. Can you make a list? Yeah. Thanks. And then you guys are 3. You have 7. Is that 7? Okay. Can you make your list and Okay, so you guys have 4, so you're probably going to end up with some of the people from the oversized group of 9, yeah. I don't know, they look pretty intimidated. And then, is this a sort of group? You're 8? Okay, that's fine. Do you have your roster? Okay, almost done. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, so you guys will be like 5. Well, keep it for a moment because we're going to augment your group, yeah. Sorry, are you guys done yet? Not quite. And so what's this? What do you have, 13? You need 13? Wait, you have 10 right now or what? 5 and how many? 5 and 6? That's not a bad size. So for each of the 2 groups, for 5 and 6, write down like the roster of people in the groups. You have 7. Okay. Or something that's not quite right here. And you guys would be, we'll figure out in a moment. And then, yeah. Okay. Sorry, what did you say? Oh. Sorry. So you guys have like 11 now, or no, you have 10? We have now? Oh, who did? This is not like, there's no out of class component to it. So it's just, okay. I expect reports, but other than that, it's fine. So you have who is not in this group then? That's here. You, okay. And so you want to join that group? You're already on. Okay. And you guys had 7 then, right? Okay. And you have 8, and you just arrived, but you were in this group. And you guys just gave me your roster, right? Okay. Very good. Okay. So you're in a group, right? You just moved around. Okay. You guys have your 4-person roster, which we're still going to supplement. So you guys are done. You have 6, right? And you guys are done. And you have how many? Whoa. And you have 7 or 8? You have 8. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so everybody is on a roster right now, one way or the other, right? There's nobody who's not. So we have 8, and you guys have 4. And a maximum of 8 right now. So if I had 8 groups, then we'd end up with like 7.5 people per group in theory, which isn't too bad. Okay, so I think I'm going to just keep things the way they are right now. So, I mean, there's a large range because there's some groups of 8, and then there's one group who only has 4. But in theory, we have 8 groups and 60 people. There should be like 7.5 people per group. So that means there, in theory, are people missing, and we'll assign them to groups that have fewer people. So I think it'll all work out. So since you just arrived, you are so you're going to be in the group that only has 5. You now have 6. Oh, I didn't have yours. Oh, this yeah, sorry. Okay, no, I'm sure that's correct. Okay, well then in that case, I do need to do some reassignments. Okay, so so I think I'm going to end up splitting the group that has. So you guys have 6 back there, right? So the group that has 5 and just got supplemented. So the 5 of you, I think I'm going to have to split you up and reassign you to 2 groups. So the gentleman who just arrived, you're going to be in this group right here. So can you just add your name to this? He's not going to, because I have to split you guys up. We have too many groups right now. So I'm going to split you. I'm going to do like 3 and 2, and assign 3 of you to one group and 2 to another. Who has 6? They have 6, yeah. You're going to have 7, yeah. Excuse me? Oh, so you're joining their group? And so now there's 2 and 2? Fine. Yeah, I'll split you up 2 and 2. Or if you want to, I can decide there's another 4. You want me to combine 4 and 4? And then you'll have 8? Okay, yeah, that's fine. And so here's what's going to happen. So you put your name on this group. This is now this was a group of 6, now it's a group of 7. But you guys, the 4 of you will stay together. Now you're in that group of 7, which is now a group of 8. Okay. And then the 4 of you are now part of that group of 4, so there's a group of 8. So you should like kind of move up here. You're eventually, I mean, realistically, you're going to have to move next to them. But you could have some sort of, maybe they can move back. Well, they're not going to want to move back. I don't know. You guys are going to have to move up somewhere. There's just too many of you back here. I can't. So the 4 people up here, they only have 4 in their group. So the 4 of you are now with them, and you're going to be a group of 8. So you have to, what are you going to do? There's going to be various activities. You'll have like, so before you need to put your name on this roster, but you're going to have discussions, and then there's like going to be basically games where you're trying to like maximize the group's take or something like that. No, there's no presentations. It's all in class. You don't need to meet with them. Let me make that note. I think there's some confusion about that. It's all in class. None of it is being outside class. Okay, thanks. Okay, so everybody is now in a group who's in the classroom. Shh. So everybody is now in a group in the classroom. I think the minimum size is now 6 and the maximum size is 8. And so the 6 people groups will probably have like 1 or 2 people added based on who's not in the class. To be clear, the groups are only for these in-class activities. You don't need to meet with your group outside for like research or projects or anything like that. So don't worry if some of you live in like, wherever, Fremont, and some of you live in Emeryville or something like that. It's not going to be an issue. Yes, you can meet outside of class if you would like, totally voluntarily, but there's no requirement that you're going to have to do so. That being said, you will need to adjust seating patterns somewhat, which is really, you guys, so I've added 4 more to your group, and they're back there, and you're up here. I don't think either group really wants to move in either direction, but at some point we'll have to do something where, like, you guys want to move forward a little bit, and you guys move back a little bit, and we'll be able to at least communicate. Or worst case scenario, we'll just move during activities. Okay, so I'm going to pick up where we left off, but we're going to at least have some discussion today in your groups. So I was detailing the externalities that you might encounter just on a sort of typical bus ride through San Francisco, and then the last one I was talking about is essentially when you come to traffic intersections. Those are really cases where there's externalities because one direction has to go and they impose a negative externality on the direction that has to stop. But there's nothing that can really be done about that at the end of the day. Like somebody has to take their turn. And so we discussed sort of various fixes that generally involve like so in some cases, we could think about sort of corrective fees or taxes that would internalize these externalities, but in a lot of cases, that wasn't really that attractive, either because it just didn't really make logistically it didn't make sense, or sort of don't like the distributional implications of, for example, like the disabled person having a fare of $50 that reflects the amount of time it takes for them to get onto the bus. So there's sort of alternative ways we might go about addressing these externalities, and in some cases the fixes are a little bit complex, but at the end of the day, it could easily be worth it. So if you think about sort of, well, at the end of the day, what happens is that the buses and trains run much more smoothly and can go faster. Then for the same sort of amount of labor and vehicles that you have, if you're actually running them faster, that means they complete the runs quicker and can be turned around more quickly. So you actually can have more frequent service for the same resources, which then in turn is probably going to increase ridership because people value frequency. That will pull people off the road, so you get less traffic congestion. You increase the revenue for the transit agency, which lowers subsidies, which of course is helpful to taxpayers, and ultimately, sort of attracts more passengers on the margin who are probably less likely to be to smell like rotting cheese, and that overall makes it a more enjoyable experience as well. Another case of externalities that sort of isn't maybe obvious until you think about it for a moment is off-street parking. So if you think about sort of, this is again like this is a very San Francisco thing where if you're parking in the the central business district like downtown, then usually pretty much all of the block is just made up of parking spaces. So like if you go to downtown Berkeley, most of the block is just going to be parking spaces. But in San Francisco and I'm sure some areas of Berkeley, it's like once you get out of the downtown area into places where there's still like business districts, you go out toward like the Richmond or something like that or Sunset. But there's also residences. Then you sort of get to blocks where there's almost no parking spaces because everybody has a driveway. And so as soon as you make the driveway, what that does is it actually takes away the majority of a parking space on the street because of course you can't park in front of the driveway. And so in theory, like what we would, if we were trying to achieve sort of an efficient number of off-street like parking spaces, what we would do is we would charge homeowners a fee that's equal to the market value of the on-street space that they're eliminating. So when you put your driveway there, somebody else is no longer able to park in that space. So you should actually be paying not only for how much it costs to construct your driveway, but also basically compensating the city for the fact that you are removing a parking space from the stock of parking spaces. And not obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but that doesn't generally happen. And not only does it not happen, but actually sort of the opposite happens. So this is sort of something that you don't become aware of until I don't know, I guess until you're like trying to build a house or something, which is almost nobody because we usually are living in places that have already been developed. We're not like thinking about building our own house. But there's zoning regulations in cities, and actually most cities sort of implicitly subsidize off-street parking by mandating a minimum parking requirement. So essentially, the way to think about that is not only is there not a sort of positive price attached to building the driveway, but there's actually sort of a negative price in the sense that the city is going to take you to court and fine you if you don't build a driveway and provide off-street parking. Now, you might sort of wonder, like, well, why is the city invested in whether or not you decide to build a garage for your house? It seems like that should just be something that's left up to the individual homeowner, whether or not they feel like they need the parking, as opposed to the city coming and saying, like, we mandate that everybody must have parking and everybody must drive cars. But the reason is that, of course, that the problem sort of stems from what we talked about at the beginning, that they're not actually pricing the on-street parking, so there's perpetually a shortage of on-street parking because they're setting the price to zero. And so instead of trying to address that shortage by just using price mechanisms, they essentially try to address it by building as many or forcing people to build as many off-street spaces as possible, so that ideally you won't want to use an on-street space because it would be using your off-street space. Okay, so the recurring theme here is that you can internalize the externality by charging some sort of appropriate corrective fee. And so once you do that, then a consumer or an individual is only going to pay the full, or will, when they make their purchase or make their transaction, they're going to face the full marginal cost of their choice, so not just sort of the private cost, but also the social cost, which is going to be reflected in whatever fee you determine is appropriate to charge them. And then at that point, they're going to consume to the degree at which the marginal cost, the true marginal cost, which reflects both the private cost and the social cost, they're going to consume to the point at which that true marginal cost is equal to the marginal benefit that they derive, and that is of course our criterion for efficiency. Now, there's actually an alternative way to try to solve this problem of externalities, and that's what is known as, or stated as, the Coase theorem. And so what the Coase theorem says is that you can actually achieve an efficient allocation simply by assigning the relevant property rights and then allowing individuals or firms to bargain over sort of the allocation of those rights. Well, not the allocation, I guess, but who's going to use those rights. So the thing that's kind of interesting is it actually doesn't matter who you assign it to. You just have to assign it to somebody who knows they have that property right and can somehow exercise it. But the intuition is that if you assign the good to somebody, then he or she is going to demand compensation in order to, or he or she is going to demand compensation if anybody wants to use that good. So even if they themselves, like even if the person you assign it to doesn't want to use the good, they're going to want to be compensated for use of that good, if somebody wants to use it because it's their property at that point, right? So the price that the consumer is going to pay is then going to include any impact on the good, and the way that bargaining works, it's going to result in efficient allocation regardless of who you assign the property rights to. So I'm going to give an example here in a moment that should hopefully make that clearer. That being said, the final outcome can still vary depending on who the property rights are assigned to. So it's not that what the Coase theorem doesn't say is that we're going to sort of reach the same outcome no matter who we assign property rights to. Potentially, you can reach different outcomes, particularly if those property rights are like very valuable, because at that point what you're doing is you're actually sort of assigning wealth to one group versus another group. So it's not saying that the final outcome is going to be the same. It's just saying that the final outcome will be Pareto efficient.